All right, and thus, without further ado, the fabulous Michelle Balaz, the CEO, owner, and then also, I love the signature in your email, Michelle: marketing, advertising, PR, social, hotel, retail, vendor, sales relations, creative content, brand engagement of the magnificent Lady Primrose, ladyprimrose.com, LADYPRIMROSE.com. Fragrance forward, regal style, and as you so aptly touched upon in the feature that we're creating for you in our upcoming fall issues, celebrating a little luxury every day. Michelle, it's such a pleasure to be speaking with you and to be working with you. Thank you very much for taking the time on another amazing Friday. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much. What an intro. You've reminded me of how busy I am. And you've reminded me of just what a big venture this has been. This is a lovely Friday. I'm glad it's Friday.
Always,
But
right?
it's great
Always.
to be with you as well, Judd. And we certainly love partnering with Elevated, and we're thrilled at the beginning of this partnership and look forward to more. So I really appreciate your time with this interview today.
Well, thank you then for that intro as well. I really appreciate it. And Lady Primrose, it's so exciting, and it's amazing what you've created in 1990. So, I mean, now that where are we? We're 2022. So,
Yeah.
what a story you now have for for a few decades. What has it been like,
Sure.
that what has the trajectory been like? What has it been from the beginning? And then also, I think very importantly, I'll try not to ask too many questions at once, but then further, at this very moment in time, I mean, I would imagine that this is probably one of the most exciting moments in time for you and Lady Primrose.
It really is. And to lend some clarity to how long this company has been around, we, including my sister, we were absolutely privileged to have an opportunity to take this company over in 2020. So it originally did launch in 1990, and we carry on the legacy of the founders of Carolyn Rose Hunt and Vivian Young. So they actually started this brilliant brand in 1999 or 1990 in Dallas. What had happened is I had been a publisher and an advertising sales exec for a very long time,
Right, you'd
and
mentioned that in our
my
emails, right?
yeah, curated my career through that lens for a very long time. And as a part of that career, you travel to different areas where there's a lot of agency hubs, and Dallas, Texas happened to be one.
Mm-hmm.
So I had stayed at the Crescent Hotel, and I discovered Lady Primrose products while staying at the Crescent.
Hmm.
And that was probably the early 2000s. So I fell in love with a one of their scents called Royal Extract. So I had been a fan for years. So again, to lend a little more clarity on this, so been a fan for years, and I had reached out in 2020 to buy some more Royal Extract products, and the ladies at Lady Primrose had indicated that they were closing, and the thought bubbles started popping in my head, and I panicked because I thought I'd never have my Royal Extract again. So it's so true, and it's a great story. So what happened is I started searching for Royal Extract online. I bought it. I dumped $2,000 one day buying it because I was like, I'm never going to see it again. And I mentioned this to my
From Lady
sister.
Primrose at the time.
Right.
Okay.
And I mentioned this to my sister, and she said, well, where are they selling? And I said, oh my gosh, they're online everywhere. I'm just buying as much as I can. And she said, no, 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 Michelle. Are they selling the company? And I said, oh, I don't know. She's like, give them a call.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it began. I gave them a call, and I wouldn't have invested my my career equity into a brand I didn't know.
Right.
And certainly wouldn't have, my sister and I wouldn't have moved forward with something we didn't know had such a DNA that we couldn't let it close. We had a loyal following, not only in a customer base, but in a client base with regards to hotels and retailers. So we made the call and we bought the company, and we promised that we'd keep it in Dallas. We keep the employees if they'd have us, and we keep this brand exactly how it is, with the exception of giving it a little bit of a regal, restyled, modern touch, which we did. And we invested in extending all the brands vertically, which they were not all vertically supported with all the product lines. And we are proud to carry on the legacy of this brand, initially launching in 1990 and now under a relaunch phase as of November of 2020. My sister and I are taking it to the next level, and we're thrilled.
What a fantastic entrepreneurial story. And truly, what a great entrepreneurial story, and one that, and kudos to you and obviously your sister at the same time, yet you were doing what you were doing very well, and then to have this opportunity come out of nowhere and to see it and to seize it.
Right. And it really did. It was a phone call. It was a phone call to them, and then it was a phone call to do literally the 5-minute elevator pitch. And the ladies that had been running the company prior or after Carolyn Rose Hunt and Vivian were doing a great job. It's just the company was in a little bit of a pause mode. And, given the situation that economically hit the world of 2020, and we all navigated through that for a while, this was, do we buy a company or do we buy a company? And then we thought, we're going to buy the company. So it was, you got to throw the dice. But again, I would not, and my sister would not have invested, again, our career equity, we wouldn't have done this if we didn't know we could. That's the bottom line. And so, and the team who is in with us in Lady Primrose, I give accolades to them all the time, because this is a team that's been with this brand for years, some of them for 20 years, and they put their confidence in us, and they love the brand so much that they came with us. And so there's a lot of love, there's a lot of nostalgia, there's a lot of sentimentality to this brand, not only corporately, but we get it from our customers and we get it from our hotels. So we knew this was special, and we knew we couldn't let this pause go on. So we took it, and we're here today, and we're doing it's on the right trajectory, and it feels fantastic.
Well, again, what a great story. Congratulations. I love it.
Thank you so much. Well, I'll talk on and on, but you realize it's interesting. It was a complete career pivot for me. It was a 180, but was it? And what I mean by that is you can switch careers and have so many similarities in one career that will literally pivot to the next. And it's a shame. Absolutely. I look outside, I look, at some recruiters, and I look at these big corporations, and when you're out there and you're maybe trying to change a career or something like that, and I see all of these people say, well, you don't have the right experience, or you don't have the right background. I just think that's nonsense. Absolutely. I really do. I think you've got to really look at the DNA of somebody that's got talent, even if it's in a different career, a different path, and see how it can pivot. And I think a lot of talent is missed, and I'm tooting my own horn right now because I'm a perfect example of that. I didn't even know what a pallet was, Judd.
Well, and everything you just everything
and I'm in the heart of manufacturing, but I'm also in the heart of marketing, and things that translated easily for me was advertising, brand positioning, brand equity. Those things translated easily for me, but when I started understanding what, freight forwarders were and all this stuff, you learn quick. But when you really dig in, pivots can happen, and they can happen successfully.
Absolutely. All very well said. You're very well spoken, by the way. And also for you, with respect to your successful background in advertising, marketing, branding, etc., what a perfect segue. And to be able to pivot, as you put it, or as one of my favorites, Keith Richards, would say, to gear shift and take yourself personally to the next level in general, further with your sister, and take everything that you had done so successfully and then literally have the planets align, so to speak, and to be then doing it with a company that you now own, and at the time just began to own. You know, when you can, to become the owner of a company and have the genius experience that you were fortunate to build throughout your career with, again, marketing, advertising, branding. I mean, in my opinion, that sets the stage for one of the best owners, entrepreneurs of a company.
Oh, thank you so much. And, you know, it's interesting, when I was building my advertising career, you know, there's a lot of opportunities that you can take that are easy. I did not take the easy opportunities. I took chances. So when I was interviewing and going from maybe one tile to the next, there was one opportunity where I actually ran a teen magazine, and I had never done that before without the infrastructure of a huge company. And I did it, and it was a wonderful company to work for, and that was great. And then another opportunity came where I was interviewed to actually stay in Chicago, where many of these positions are out of New York. And it was a position to take over the sales side of a title at Hearst right after so many people were let go. So I was walking into a situation where I had to work with colleagues that were a little battered and bruised,
right?
But at the same time, I was handling a huge position and reporting to somebody that I incredibly respect to this day, because she made me work hard. And I don't know if I worked hard. I just wanted to make sure she wasn't unhappy. And I just did it. So again, it's about like building your career and not taking the easy positions to just have the paycheck and have fun. Take the positions that challenge you and that make you dig deeper to understand and learn. And you know, I always say, you know, there's an old saying, you can't learn anything if you know everything. And I admit I borrowed that from someplace. I don't know where that's at, but you will always pivot, and you always figure out something new. And I did that throughout the career. And obviously that, as you had said, is paying off with this particular company that we now own.
That we now own. And with respect to now, let's really sink our teeth into Lady Primrose itself, this fantastic, magnificent company. You know, as I've been digging through your feature that you sent this morning, I love this line. Inspired by and created in part from archival scent recipes from vaults of London and Parisian perfume houses dating back to 1677, Trist and Royal Extract is one that you touched upon, lead the portfolio to this day. But how fantastically intriguing and inspiring it must be to be working with a product that has that history behind it.
It really is. It really is. And, you know, part of embracing this role was getting to know things that I didn't know about this brand, and that we couldn't do it without the team. Because I will ask Violet or Mary or Liz, you know, questions about, you know, how we all came about, et cetera. And that was a big question that was answered. Carolyn Rose Hunt and Vivian Young, the founders, had been in London and France, and they were inspired to launch this company because at the time, Carolyn Rose Hunt, I believe, owned the Lanesboro, and the Lanesboro needed an amenity program. Wow. So they were on the hunt to create fragrances for the Lanesboro Hotel. And that's exactly what happened. Is some perfume houses let them in the vaults, and they started working with ingredients that literally date back to 1677.
Wow, how amazing that must have been.
Very special year.
How amazing that must have been. How
cool.
Intriguing. I mean, that's incredible. In 1677.
I know. And I can tell you that I Googled the heck out of that year to make sure nothing bad happened, because we knew we were going to name new scent with that. We knew we were going to work with that year. And so I thought, please, no famines,
Right.
no king cutting head. So thankfully that year was okay, a normal year. And it was interesting because right around that time, the perfume industry really started to take off in the 1600s. 1300 was the official, perfume by the Queen Elizabeth of Hungary. But in the 1600s is when perfume really started making some waves. So it's just interesting that 1677 is a year that these two perfumes date back to, and that's a very special year to us.
Yes, I can imagine. It always will be. And how, again, it's intriguing. It's beautiful. And
it is.
And so, yeah. Michelle, from being very empathetic, which I can imagine you're incredibly good at with what you do, and especially with your background, as this beautiful entrepreneurial story creation began with you being a consumer of Lady Primrose. So describe Lady Primrose not as you being the owner and your 8 other titles, but as the consumer of Lady Primrose that fell in love with it. Describe that so that the woman who you're trying to reach hears your words about it, her husband hears it and knows he should buy it for her. Describe it that way.
Oh, that's a great question. Well, as a consumer point of view, the reason why I was in love with Lady Primrose is I loved the way it was presented. I loved the regalness of it. We have updated a lot of things, but we have kept some of the iconic presentations like the body cream jar and the dusting soap shakers. I loved that. I would walk they had a store in Dallas, and as a customer, I would walk in and I just felt special. And it was unlike any other way. You buy a perfume and you buy other things and they're in beautiful packaging, but this was different. It was regal. And it kind of took me back a little bit because I love, if there was time travel, I'd press the button and go back. I love time travel. I love the fantasy of it.
100% agree with you. Yep.
Yeah, and this particular brand brought you back. But it brought you back in a way that it made you feel that you're supposed to have that body cream jar in your vanity. In other words, it was for any consumer, everybody. But yet, it was special. People come into my vanity and say, "What is that what is that shaker?" I said, "Oh, it's for the dusting soap powder." Well, who knew that those shakers were inspired by English countryside in England sugar shakers, but so that's what I loved is I just felt it felt regal, it felt special. And then for me, I fell in love with the scent Royal Extract. And the reason why I loved that scent so much is it was subtle. There's a lot of perfumes out there and they, I'm in the industry now. So there's incredibly successful perfumes out there, but there are many that have edges. Like you spray them on and there's an edge. You can feel it. It smells great, but it really, really, really does fragrant you, right?
Yeah.
I don't.
Perfumes and colognes alike, absolutely.
Right. I never wanted the edge. I wanted to wear something that was subtle. And if somebody gave you a hug, the first thing they said to you is, "What are you wearing?"
Right.
That's why I loved Royal Extract. And I thought, well, so I've worn that particular scent for years. So as a consumer, I love the fact that the scents were inviting and warm and subtle, a little mysterious, but classy, And then I loved the product and the presentation. When I'd order my body gel, it came in it didn't just come in a plastic bottle. It came in a plastic bottle with decor and things like that. So I loved the way Lady Primrose was presented. It felt very special, and it was just something that I fell in love with as a consumer. And so because I had that passion, I knew who my consumer was. I knew who our customers were.
Right.
Because there's so many, we do have to restyle and we do have to move forward, of course.
Right.
But there's ways to do that to capture new audiences and to hold on to the loyal and legacy audiences, right? We want to expand the brand to hold on to these customers that have been a part of us for a long time, but get new customers. And so I had been a customer for a long time, so I knew we had to restyle things. But as a customer for a long time, I personally love what we've done because I still see the Regal presentations that we have. And, like decanters, we have all of our lotions, all of our bath gels in these incredible decanters. Well, as a consumer, I bought those decanters back in the day because they were just stunning. You could find nothing like them,
Yeah.
And so it was just different. And, does it take an investment from our part? It does. But we want our customers to feel special. Like I felt special when I fell in love with Royal Extract in the early 2000s.
Right, absolutely. All again, very well said, and perfect segue into, as you touched upon in your beautiful feature that will be in our fall issues. You touched upon one of the key elements that you're focusing on right now is working to capture the consumer, your new consumer, online. Through amazing retail partnerships and top tier hotel and resorts around the world, which is how you were introduced to it initially, and thus of course that circles back to correlates with not, especially with a unique beautiful creation such as Lady Primrose, not completely reinventing it yet. I guess the right word would be accelerating upon and being innovative on the beauty that it is at its core.
Correct. Just restyled it to keep it regal.
That's simple.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And so what we're doing is we relaunched our website, curated that. We constantly doing the content on that. But yeah, the website, we're working to get our customers to obviously purchase online, but remember, we have incredible retail partners. We have retail partners throughout Texas and then nationwide, including Stanley Korshak, Lawrence's. I wish I could name them all, but we have so many loyal retail partners that carry Lady Primrose, and that also that's also gets to our customers. And we recently are now in London at a retailer called Fortman and Mason, which is extraordinary, and we continue to sell out there constantly. So they are wonderful valued partners. So again, we're definitely international, reaching a customer base internationally, and then we reach our customer base through hotels internationally. So we are in top tier hotels, one and onlys, Ritz-Carltons, Waldorf Astoria, Mandarin Oriental. So we're in the top tier hotels, and then we're in some exclusive private hotel resorts such as Cayo Espanto in Belize.
Yep.
We're in the Maldives, Los Cabos. We're everywhere. And the reason why I'm saying that is that's another way we reach our customers, and we create sense for those hotels. One and only Pamia being one of our key partners that
I love. I was fortunate enough. To stay at the one and only Palmia. It's been a bit, but that is what an experience. I mean, I think it's the only luxury resort hotel, whatever you want to say, that I've stayed at where you literally can look back and reflect on it, and there is not one negative that you can say. It's just all positive. It literally uplifts you as an individual and a human being to stay at the one and only Palmia.
Well, that is amazing. And I actually visited with them in March or April, and I was out there and I had that same experience. And of course, we take pride into when you walked in, blue agave is their scent, and we produce that for them. So it's all over. And so what customers will do is they will come back online to buy more blue agave because it's exclusively only at the one and only Pamia and exclusively online.
That is so beautiful. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
That is
so
really
so
incredible. And on that note, and I think it's worth mentioning during this beautiful podcast conversation we're having, is we have a number of clients or partners, if you will, that I will introduce you to that I think would make sense, such as the magnificent Oil Nut Bay down in Virgin Gorda in the British Virgin Islands, just
Oh.
absolutely magnificent. Querencia, Los Cabos as well, and some others. But I will put you in touch with Jessica and
Oh,
Morgan at.
that would be fantastic, because if it's not a scent they want us to make for them, then it's a scent we'll provide. For instance, the Waldorf Astoria in Pettigrew works with our royal extract. Our royal extract honey pot jars in every one of their guest rooms. So hotels will embrace the scents that we already have, or we can create a scent for them. That's amazing.
That is
Love to work
amazing.
with that.
That is
Yeah.
amazing to have a scent created specifically for, say, Oil Nut Bay or whoever it might be.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. I'm so sorry. That was my Alexa reminding me of something. I apologize. In the background, reminding me to take some vitamins.
No worries, Michelle.
I know, isn't that funny?
Yeah, so I thought it was perhaps your sister walking into the room. But
No, that's Alexa reminding me to do things, because as you can see by my email signature, there are a lot of things I do.
There are a lot of things you do.
And throughout the day to tell me to remember to call this person or take my vitamins.
I understand. I set too many reminders to even with the most mundane things, because I know I'll forget them. But on that note, because you are so busy, Michelle, and I can't believe that we've already spoken for 30 minutes,
Sure.
and this has been such a fantastic conversation, and I could keep speaking to you all day. But I know I need to let you get going, and I can't be selfish with your time. Is there anything that I should have asked you during this first podcast? And I say first because I'm hoping we can do many more of these. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have today, or anything we didn't touch upon that we should have? And by all means, take as much time as you'd like if there is anything.
Oh, that is so kind. I'm just so thankful to have the privilege or the opportunity to be on this podcast with you and partner with Elevated. I think for a first round podcast, I would look forward to more. We can dive into maybe some of the brand details and how certain brands are being curated. I would say, we've probably covered everything. It's an exciting time for Lady Primrose. I can share with you, though, that, we have been a brand that has been targeted towards females, but we have recently launched a men's cologne, and it is called Gentleman 1677.
Oh, how very sexy and perfect.
It is noble, it is charismatic, and it's neutral in base, so the women are loving it too. And it was a complete hit at markets where, obviously we present our products to potential buyers. Long story short, it is just yummy, and we can't keep up with the sales on it. So it is exploding, and we're getting ready to also advertise in other magazines as well. We'll be in Elevated magazines, which we're so thrilled about for this quarter, but we're also complementing that ad campaign with Town and Country and Esquire. And Esquire will be one of those titles that will also advertise Gentleman 1677 in. So with that note, I just thank you for your time, Judd, and we're just so thrilled to be partners with you. But I can't think of any better way to have discussed Lady Primrose than the way we did it today.
I can't either. Thank you. And with respect to Gentleman 1677, correct? 1677, that is something that we should, if you want to create another ad for, we should, if the timing's right, we should have in the upcoming fall issue of Elevated Men's Lifestyle, which will have our dear friends George Clooney and Randy Gerber on the cover of. And then also I will put you in touch with a fantastic gentleman known as Daniel George, who's a custom clothier and has retail locations in Chicago and San Francisco, is one of the most genius at what he does in his world, and he also is hip to working with individuals such as yourself. So
Well, that is fantastic, and it's about that creative deadline for this particular ad. So I'm beginning to work on it now, but we can certainly talk offline. I would love to be in Elevated Men's as well. It's more about the creative deadline.
Yep. Plenty of time, my friend. Plenty of time.
I'd love to.
Michelle Balaz, CEO, owner, marketing, advertising, PR, social, hotel, retail, vendor, sales relations, creative content, brand engagement. I had to say it all again because I think it's so fantastic and amazing. Lady Primrose, ladyprimrose.com. Fragrance forward, regal style, celebrating a little luxury every day. Thank you, Michelle, so much for your time. And again, for the opportunity to work with you, I hope you have an absolutely perfect weekend, and I look forward to speaking again soon.
Thank you so much. We're thrilled to be partners with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.